From the wrestling ring to Tinseltown, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has done it all, which makes his college GPA all the more surprising. It seems that The Rock can do anything he puts his mind to. And yet, some of his fans might be surprised to learn that he wasn't the most academically driven student during his younger years, as he briefly dropped out of college after ending up with an eye-popping 0.7 GPA. Thus began his road to redemption and his eventual rise to stardom. In an interview with Muscle and Fitness, Johnson revealed that he lost interest in his studies after dislocating his shoulder. This was especially unfortunate as he had been attending the University of Miami on a football scholarship at the time. However, a talk with his coaches got him to return to school, and it appears they didn't pull any punches. He recalled, "They grilled me. How can you do this? You embarrassed us. You embarrassed the team. You were in a leadership position and now you have a 0.7 GPA because you off and left?" That was the kick in the pants Johnson needed to get his act together. His coaches ordered him to start attending every class or risk losing his football scholarship, and he obliged. What's more, this academic setback turned out to be a defining moment in Johnson's life for another reason. It made him realize he had depression. It seems that Johnson's studies suffered as he lost motivation due to this depression, which he didn't fully understand at the time.
And I just left. But the interesting thing at that time is I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know what mental health was. I didn't know what depression was.
Although he didn't know why it was happening, Johnson's mental health issues began to prevent him from keeping up his attendance at college. Fortunately, he learned all about the illness later on and has since used his high profile to encourage people to be open about their feelings.
I didn't want to be there, wasn't going to any of the team meetings, wasn't participating in anything.
There's also a happy ending to Johnson's college story. He listened to his coaches, completed his studies, and eventually graduated from the University of Miami. Not only that, but he even became the school's academic captain. That's quite impressive for a guy who was ready to turn his back on his studies, nearly losing everything he'd worked on in the process. Even better, the decisions he made during these difficult days have given him wisdom in later life. But how about his earlier life? The story of how The Rock went from being homeless to becoming one of Hollywood's highest earners is pretty well known these days. Despite coming from one of the most acclaimed wrestling families of all time, Johnson grew up in poverty and turned to petty crime for a while. Soon after came his academic struggles, which almost derailed an education his family couldn't afford. Fortunately, Johnson hasn't forgotten these experiences, and he hopes that his story will help people through their own difficult times. He told Muscle and Fitness, "I am a product of the most challenging times of my life, and that's the value of them. They shape you and they mold you. And so, I was formed by these lessons at a very young age." In Johnson's mind, he's still always 1 week away from getting evicted. For this reason, he believes he can relate to everyday struggles. And if nothing else, his story is at least proof that a 0.7 GPA isn't the end of the world. If you or someone you know needs help with mental health, please contact the Crisis Text Line by texting HOME to 741-741. Call the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline at 1-800-950-NAMI 6264 or visit the National Institute of Mental Health website.